Hi everyone, welcome to a bonus episode of the Paideiac Self podcast. I'm your host Ken, and today I have a couple of announcements that I want to make. One of them being that I just graduated from California State University East Bay with my master's degree in statistics. A really big deal since I've spent 8 years of my life being in college, with a couple of those years being spent to get my bachelor's degree, and then 2 of them being to get my master's degree. So it marks the end of a very long journey that I took right after I graduated from high school in 2015. So I'm very relieved to be at this point in my life. And 8 years, that's a lot of time to be growing and developing and studying and being in school. So I'm really glad that I'm at this point in my life where I've completed college, as I've decided from the get-go that I want my master's degree to be my last time that I'm going to be in college. As, for one, I'm feeling a little bit of fatigue right now at the moment. I'm simply tired of school and just being in the classroom and just going through the motions of it all and doing all of that. Don't get me wrong. I do like school. I think school has brought a lot into my life that I'm grateful for. It's just that there's so much in my life that's been consumed by school that I want to be able to explore my life outside of it. So some time away from school will allow me to do that, as well as expand my horizons and explore my hobbies and interests, now that I have more time freed up to do so. Yes, of course, there's that prospect of going to get jobs and whatnot that any college graduate is going to have to deal with after they get their degree. But for the most part, I have more time now to be able to pursue those interests and really figure myself out. And then secondly, I feel that the academic life for me isn't something that's compatible with my personal goals. For I'm someone who doesn't like to sit still so much and sit in the classroom. I like to be adventurous. I like to work in the field. I like to be out there and volunteer and hike and explore and all these things. And so going to get a PhD or something would take me away from those things that I value so much. That sense of personal freedom and adventure that I want for myself. So there probably are other reasons as well that I do not want to go further with my college education, but I feel okay with just being at the master's degree, as I do think there's a lot more to life out there than just being in a classroom, and I'm hoping to figure that out, even though that I've spent so much time in school that I'm still struggling to figure out what do I do with my life next. But whatever the case may be, I'm glad that I'm out of school and I've got my master's degree. And I'm grateful for my parents, my friends and family, and the staff at East Bay, and all the professors that I've met, and my classmates too, and friends, for helping me to get here and really giving me some much needed wisdom to get to the next level and to really be that well-rounded person that I want to be. So kudos to them. I'm really appreciative of just the role that they all played in my life, and I'm really grateful to see what do I do next, for sure. Other than that, I'm pretty grateful for what I've accomplished so far. As to talk a little bit about my college experience, I will say that coming into grad school, I had the general expectation of it as sort of going through the motions and simply going to class, doing the lecture, doing the homework, and going home, as I was a bit jaded by my experiences as an undergrad, where it was mostly the same thing, and I didn't have a chance to network or find the right people that I was very interested in and compatible with in terms of friendship and just connections. So coming into grad school, I had this more mature and practical outlook where I thought, if I don't make any friends here or have any meaningful experiences outside of the classroom, that's okay. At least it's 2 years. And at the end of the day, I'm here to get the degree, which is expected but understandable. As after all, you're going to college not to really have fun or hang out and party and all of that. While those things are valuable and can be fun, you're there primarily to get your degree. So whatever you do, you don't want to lose sight of that. And that was something that I wanted to maintain no matter what I did in college. However, as soon as I started doing study groups and meeting more people in class, that started to flip my expectations of college a little bit. as I met these wonderful groups of students that at first we started out as a study group. We got together to work on homework problems together. We asked each other questions and we help each other out in case we struggle with certain homework problems or things like that. But eventually evolved beyond that when we started to eat out together. I remember our first place being a taqueria that was in Mountain View, California, after we did our study session. And I remembered when we would go see movies together, movies such as Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and a bunch of other movies as well. All these things that really got to show me how college doesn't just have to be about school and just the homework. Sometimes it can be a lot of fun. And that was something that I really got a lot out of. And this really showed me just what was possible for me, that I decided to take it further and suggest, hey, let's maybe we can go do Christmas in the park together. So I was so invested in this group that I decided to suggest a hangout opportunity on my own. And we ended up doing that, and ended up being a lot of fun. I got to show them around downtown a little bit, show them Christmas in the park, all the trees and all that in San Jose, California. And then we got to go to a bar and kind of do a little bit of nightclub dancing. They had a DJ going on and a disco ball and something like that. Just a little sense of the nightlife in downtown San Jose. And that was fun, and that got me to really realize that I set the bar pretty low for myself. And I realized that there are people out there that do want a life outside of the classroom. I think part of being able to achieve that is by not just being open-minded, but also being proactive with your own life and to be able to be a go-getter and not wait for things to come to you. And that's something that I definitely got a lot out of when I was in grad school. And it's through these things that we sort of solidified our connection with each other by forming the very first student chapter of the American Statistical Association on campus, which is this community of students and faculty and professionals in the industry who are all united by a love of statistics and just wanting to support people in their career goals into working in the statistics field. For you do not have to be a major in statistics to be able to enjoy this club. You can be someone who's just interested in it. Whether you're intensely interested or just trying to figure it out or you don't know anything, it's a community of people just to network and bond and just really learn statistics together. Which ended up being a big deal, as I remember that was my first time that I got to be a co-founder of a club and actually be active in it and participating in it. I mean, I have been part of clubs before in the past, but I wasn't involved to the extent that I was involved in this club. For I was also running the social media accounts of this club, doing all these little posts that I did on Instagram, and running the Discord server where we started talking with each other. And then I also even just ran the LinkedIn group that we had and made sure that people are informed about any new events that we had, any speaker events, or even managing the communications that we've had with between the club and then people outside of it and things like that. So that was one of the few times where I actually got that involved, and it taught me a lot. I mean, I learned how to be a people person and how to communicate with other people. For in order to be managing social media accounts and responding to emails, you have to know how to communicate to people and work and form relationships across the aisle and beyond it, and to meet people that are going to be very different from you. As part of managing a club is learning how to manage and guide and really sort of bring together people from all different walks of life. For it's not just people in there that are majoring statistics. It's also a bunch of people who aren't majoring statistics but have a passion for that. So there's a lot of these things that you kind of have to learn to deal with, all these different types of people you got to work with. And it's partly my job as well as the other officers' jobs to be able to do all that. And so that was a meaningful experience that I gained a lot out of, just learning how to work with people. As I did mention before in the past that I have a learning disability, and one of those struggles I've had is just social skills and just learning how to talk to people. And so something like being a part of a club allowed me to get more experience comfortably learning how to talk to people and interact with people. So that was something that I welcome a lot in my life, and I think will serve me greatly moving forward, whether it's in this club or beyond it. And I guess, lastly, I did all of this, plus being a TA for a couple of undergrad stats courses and attending conferences related to statistics and all of that, and doing an internship and working a research job, all while trying to maintain good grades in class and really maintain my connections and friendships with the people that I've met while doing this program. And I look back and I think, did I have to do any of this? Did I have to be networking this aggressively and putting myself out there? Well, the truth is, I don't. As at the end of the day, you're here to get the degree. That's what matters. And while these extracurricular activities I did aren't so important to getting the degree, they do add a lot of value that I think actually pay dividends for your life and your career moving forward. For I find that it's not enough that you just know your stuff and get the degree. You also have to be a well-rounded person and learn how to work in teams and really be resourceful and really make the most out of your education rather than just being along this whole journey for the ride. And it's one of those things that kind of reminds me of the importance of just being involved in your life. Don't settle with what you're given. Try to at least go for more outside of it. As I came to college wanting the degree, but I also found out that I also wanted to be around a group of people that really cared about me and have the means to help me grow as a person. Not just in terms of just being a good professional, but also being a well-rounded human being. As you probably have heard this before, but I'll just repeat it here. Oftentimes I hear recruiters say that a lot of success at a job is 30% knowledge and 70% communication. For it's not enough that you know everything, but you also have to know how to communicate with people and work in teams. As you're not just working with people that are experts in their field, you're also working with managers, CEOs, people who may not have the background that you have. And part of being a good worker or just be a good contributor to society is knowing how to work with different kinds of people from different walks of life and just knowing how to deal with them. And I think that's a very valuable skill that I think doesn't just apply to being at a club, but also applies to everyday life as well. For you have no idea what the kind of people that you're going to meet moving forward. And while there's no expectation that you should immediately get along or be friends with them, you should at least know how to at least talk to them or at least find a way to be diplomatic and know that how to at least do your best to work with them and understand them as much as possible. There's definitely a lot more that's on my mind, but right now I'm just trying to have a nice summer and really enjoy the time that I have as much as I can while I'm still looking around for jobs and trying to figure out myself outside of school. As I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do at the end of the day moving forward, but I do know that I want to be able to at least enjoy some time for myself. Maybe go for a hike, go for a walk, go eat, go spend time with some friends, and put myself out there and see what's interesting. While that's a bit of a general way of looking at it, I do have an idea where I can start. Things that I love, like hiking or going out to eat food, or even just working on this podcast more and sharing my own life stories with all of you folks out there. Those are the things that I'm going to start with, and definitely things that I really want to spend more time on, that I'm definitely going to be doing more of as we go along with this summer. Alright, so that's it for updates. I got to get going soon, so I want to say thank you all for listening. If you all like this podcast and you want to follow more of my content and get updates on when I'm going to be posting more stuff, be sure to check out my Instagram at thepaideiac self, which is spelled ThePaideiacself, the Paideiac Self. You can also check out my link tree that's in the podcast description of wherever you access your podcast and you access this podcast, as well as it's also available on the Instagram bio. So where you can get access to all these links to where you can find my podcast and where you can find my podcast on YouTube, as well as where you can find my writings on medium.com. And I will tell you, I do have one writing out there that's released on medium.com. So do check it out if you want to read what I've written, which are all ways to expand the things I talk about on this podcast and more. So all the links are there. Be sure to check it out in the podcast description and just follow me on Instagram. And I want to say thank you all for listening to this podcast. It's really a labor of love that I put out for free. And I really appreciate that you all take time out of your day to tune into my show. So, and with that said, thank you all so much. Hope you all stay tuned for the next episode, which is coming out on June 10th, 2023. So stay tuned for that. And as always, thank you so much and hope you all have a great day.